So I had a question. My question was, we live in a system of white supremacy, right? Where we know they wag the dog, meaning they will put out stories to try to distract you from something else. They'll put out stories to try to force into existence the realities that they want to happen. So my question was, if that's the case, why would they tell us about this? And why are the soldiers or the military, why are they directly correlating this back to the president? And why is the president taking responsibility for this? And that was my question to the universe. And thank you to the universe for bringing me the answer.
Because I'd been through the Pentagon right after 9/11. About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me, and one of the generals called me in. He said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
Iran says it has discovered a major new oil field in the southwest of the country that could increase its reserves by about a third. President Hassan Rouhani announced the discovery during a televised speech in the central city of Yazd. The field in the oil-rich Khuzestan province holds an estimated 53 billion barrels of crude. Iran already has the world's 4th largest reserves of oil. Its vital oil trade has come under renewed pressure since the United States violated the 2015 nuclear deal and reimposed sanctions.
Our president will start a war with Iran because he has absolutely no ability to negotiate. He's weak and he's ineffective. So the only way he figures that he's going to get reelected, and as sure as you're sitting there, is to start a war with Iran.
Saudi Arabia and Iran are the 2 big players in the region. Notice I didn't mention Israel. I said Saudi Arabia and Iran. And they've hated each other for years. Well, a lot of that hate, Mr. Nelson, was generated by those who have to see these 2 people hate each other. I have it on good, reliable source that Soleimani, Mr. Nelson, was actually in Iraq brokering a deal to bring Saudi Arabia and Iran closer together. Stop the hate. Understand, secretly he was brokering a deal that was going to bring Iran and Saudi Arabia closer to being allies. Kind of similar to, Gaddafi. Gaddafi was bringing all the rival African countries together as one. And Gaddafi had to go. What I'm saying is Saudi Arabia and Iran would now become allies instead of enemies. We can't have that. How are we going to justify having all those troops over there? How are we going to justify the military-industrial congressional complex making billions of dollars? Mr. Nelson, did you even know that 48 hours before that drone strike, there were certain defense contractors where people were buying up stocks?
No.
Well, I guess you do now.
Huh? Right.
So that means there are certain individuals in Congress and other places who already knew this was going to happen. Well, they're like the guy in the movie Casablanca. I'm shocked. They're not shocked, Mr. Nelson. These guys they were already doing inside trading to buy stocks of certain defense contractors whose stocks went up. So while the price of gas went up, so did the value of stocks in certain defense contractors.
Let me ask you this question, though, because they said that Barack Obama and W could have taken him out, and they resisted because they knew what the problems it would cause.
Okay, now let's not be as other people. President George W. Bush or President Barack Hussein Obama could have ordered the murder or assassination. Don't start using these colloquial terms like take him out, because then it doesn't sound like what it really is. Because that's what it is. Murder. Yes, they could have murdered him. But let me explain something to you, Mr. Nelson. Were we not at war against the Taliban? Or supposedly against the war of Taliban? Because I'm not sure, since we're guarding the poppy fields now over in Afghanistan. But were we not at war against the Taliban?
That's what they told us.
Do you want to know who one of our greatest allies was in the region during that war against the Taliban?
Who?
General Soleimani. You hear me, folks? Soleimani worked with us against the Taliban. Soleimani, I just told you, is comparable to our person in charge of our Special Activities Section Special Operations Group. That means he's highly trained. That means he's been trained with and by us. That means he knows the players, and he's a threat because he was brokering a deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran to knock off their foolishness over their Muslim religious differences. Could I be any more plain, Mr. Nelson?
So somebody wants the feud to go on.
Hell yeah! You can't, Mr. Nelson, if we don't have crime, how are you going to justify hiring more cops? If you have peace, how are you going to justify this bloated defense budget? Meanwhile, you got these so-called generals and experts on television basically telling the whole world what to make a target in retaliation for the drone strike. So if you do have people out there who never thought about it before, why are people going on radio and TV not telling the whole world? Well, you know, Donald Trump has his name on hotels around the world. Those are perfect soft targets. Are they like planting the seeds in the head of somebody? You see, Mr. Nelson, I know quite a few Iranians. They're pragmatic people. And while everybody's being told how Iran is going to retaliate, if Iran was going to retaliate, you think they're going to retaliate right now while everybody expects them to retaliate? But more importantly, if Iran decides not to retaliate, you might have other factions out there who are on the fringe, who may not feel that Iran is going far enough to honor the memory of this general. And they're in other countries. And now they're being told over and over again by U.S. media and so-called military experts, hey, why don't you go attack a soft target? Because Trump's already said what, Mr. Nelson? What would happen if any Americans become the victims of a retaliation by Iran?
They're going to strike back.
And how many times would he strike back minimum?
52?
5-2. You know that comes back from the Iran hostage situation back in 1979, right? 444-day event. So what I'm saying to you is, we have now publicly, with tweets and media, put the perfect environment out there, Mr. Nelson, for perhaps a private contracting firm appearing to be Muslims in some country that attacks a soft target that kills Americans, or maybe even a legitimate, some fringe crazy Wahhabist group, or some fringe crazy supporters of Iran, or some fringe crazy supporters of this general who now have had the seed planted in their head to go out and do some action. We are in a very vulnerable situation right now that any little incident could be magnified and won't become a little incident because of the what I consider senseless and irresponsible discussions on the show on Thursday. And I said, look, I know the White House is listening to the show, and if Barack Hussein Obama goes into Syria, they're going to impeach him because he didn't go to Congress. And the next day, Barack Hussein Obama came out and changed his mind about going into Syria. Now, of course, they use that as a sign of weakness to Obama. So here you got Trump, fast forward Trump. Trump put into the same position. He can't appear to look like Obama. Now Trump has set himself up to be impeached by Congress, which means he'll leave. And Johnny, so what that means is Trump, who wants to, his ego, he can't handle this. He will now go along with the program, and then McConnell then won't honor that impeachment request. Why should Trump worry? Come on, folks. The economy is better than it ever was, right, Mr. Nelson? Isn't that what they say?
That's what they tell us.
And when they tell you the economy is good, what are the two things they always point out? They talk about the unemployment, and they talk about Wall Street. Neither one of those are indicators of the economy. They're only minor symptoms of the economy. Because, see, when they talk about Wall Street, Mr. Nelson, I don't know how many of your listeners are invested in Wall Street, but I know I'm not. Secondly, yeah, people are unemployed. When they say unemployment figures are low, that doesn't mean they're not underemployed. Now the average person is working 2 to 3 part-time jobs, no medical, no dental, no pension. And a lot of people have decided to give up and not go back and look for a job at all. Or they're living at home with their families, so they're not being counted. The economy is not good, Mr. Nelson. We've had the longest bull market in U.S. history. And the thing about it, folks, if you don't know this, every time there's a bull market, what comes next, Mr. Nelson?
The bear.
And the bigger the bull market, the bigger and worse the bear market. So, folks, if you think 2007 and 2008 was bad, you haven't seen anything yet, because they keep propping up, and they're not just here in the U.S., but around the world. They keep propping it up, hoping that it's going to still survive, but the foundation is rotten, and it's all going to come crumbling down. And when it comes crumbling down, it's going to come crumbling down ugly. That's why I tell folks, this is not the time to disrespect your families. This is not the time to be going out and buying a house. This is not the time to be separating. These are the time for people to be getting together and formulating a plan on what they're going to do, because there will be some gnashing of the teeth. And they're trying to make it through this next election to hope at least Trump gets back in the White House, but they may not survive that, because all it takes is for one little kindling to have a war. And I tell you, Mr. Nelson, like I said, this is the first year the Olympics, we're going to have surfing in the Olympics, and I've been telling people for 4 years. I give it a 60-40 that we're going to even have the Olympics. But now, what happened with the drone attack, unless things change here soon, unless people will stop ramping it up in the media trying to foment the flames, I give it a 50-50 now that we're going to have the Olympics. What I'm just saying is, are people not saying right now that Trump broke the law when what he did last week?
They are, yes, yeah, I've seen that.
But he hasn't broken the law. Now, folks, listen to me. I'm not agreeing with it, but you folks don't even realize what Trump did is 100% legal, and the laws that got passed by John Birch Society members in this country during the Reagan and Bush years. And by the way, Clinton and Obama didn't do anything to stop them either. Those laws got passed, and what Trump did was 100% legal. In fact, it was one of Obama's national security personnel who even came out and said what Trump did was 100% legal. Because much of the stuff that Trump is doing, guess what president got it passed? Barack Hussein Obama, who killed more people on the continent of Africa than any other president while I've been on this planet, because only a Negro could have gotten away with it. But see, don't say nothing bad about the brother, okay? So what I'm trying to tell you is, sadly, this is what I see. I don't want to sit there like a crystal ball thing, but what I see, because this is what we call blowback, I see the potential for many people who before nobody listened to, many of them on the fringe who would go out and have no problem blowing up their entire family to make a political statement. I see many of those people now being able to coalesce as a faction, siding with others who would have never had anything to do with them, and unite them together now. I see, remember now, I told you there was a good chance that this general was going to bring Saudi Arabia and Iran together. Instead, now what you're going to see is Iraq and Iran together, and many factions like Hezbollah and other factions around the world that most people don't even know about, because we got Muslims in places like Philippines. They're all going to come together now. So it may not be the Iraqi people per se who's going to unite. My concern is legitimate terrorist groups that before were not given any attention or any respect by the mainstream Muslims will now get a pass to retaliate against the U.S. I give it a 50-50 now that we're going to have the Olympics. Because you talk about a soft target. That would be the soft target, Mr. Nelson. Don't be mentioning Obama to me again.
Okay. Tariq, in Texas.
Specifically, April 26th, I came on this show with you and I said, any serious researcher or historian can see how today the United States mirrored the Weimar Republic prior to the rise of Hitler. And on April 12th, 1922, Hitler stated, and if we ask who was responsible for our misfortune, then we must inquire who profited by our collapse. And the answer to that question is the banks and stock exchanges, who are more flourishing than ever before.
They kill our people, they blow up our people, then we have to be very gentle with their cultural institutions. But I'm okay with it. It's okay with me. I will say this, if Iran does anything that they shouldn't be doing, they're going to be suffering the consequences, and very strongly. We're prepared. We're totally prepared. And likewise, we're prepared to attack if we have to, as retribution. He's been called a monster, and he was a monster. And he's no longer a monster. He's dead. And that's a good thing for a lot of countries. And he was planning a very big attack and a very bad attack for us and other people, and we stopped him. And I don't think anybody can complain about it. I don't hear too many people, other than politicians, who are trying to win the presidency. Those are the ones that are complaining, but I don't hear anybody else complaining.
If y'all can sit there and post little memes and stuff, y'all can sit there and post a good little meme about being positive for us or damn praying for us or some shit, man. Come on, man. Like, my generation got to tighten up sometime. It's like, bro, we really going through this shit. And a lot of us, bro, we really not coming back. So, like, a prayer or a simple good look, that shit can help. I mean, y'all can post that shit too, you feel me? You know, you gotta be something funny about this shit.